Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me for this webinar on Tierra Patagonia, a 40-bedroom lodge which sits on the eastern edge of the majestic Torres of Paine National Park in southern Chile. So Tierra Patagonia is the largest of the 3 Tierra properties, and it sits on a bluff where Patagonian steppe pampa meets Lake Sarmiento, which is just on the eastern side of the national park. And just across from the lake, as you can see here in the image, is the imposing granite massif of Torres of Paine, perhaps the most well-known national park in Patagonia, where thousands of tourists visit each year for adventure tourism. The park was declared a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in 1978, and it has some of the most impressive and rewarding hikes in South America, of which there are many and are suitable for most levels of fitness. If you're at all unfamiliar with the region of Patagonia and its weather, how to get there, the landscape, flora and fauna, anything really, I'd be more than happy to talk you through this at the end of the webinar, as I know that many of you will already know the region quite well. And I know it quite well, having visited many times over the years. So as you may already know how to get to Torres of Paine, but for those who don't, just briefly, you can see here on the left a map of the area with Punta Arenas and Puerto Natales circled. These are the 2 cities which have airports in the area with daily flights from Santiago and a few other Chilean cities. The lodge is approximately 4 to 5 hours from Punta Arenas driving, 1 hour from Puerto Natales, and about 25 minutes from Cerro Castillo. Cerro Castillo is just inside Chile on the border with Argentina. And a transfer from El Calafate in Argentina takes around 5 hours. The right-hand image shows where the hotel is located on the shore of Lake Sarmiento. So the hotel offers these 3-night all-inclusive packages. So it's a minimum of 3 nights, but there is a bed and breakfast option as well. There are no set arrival days. And just to bear in mind that between Christmas and New Year, there is a minimum stay of 6 nights. So transfers are included for all-inclusive programs to and from Puerto Natales, Punta Arenas and Cerro Castillo for packages of 3 nights or more. These do follow certain timings depending on the airline and cruise schedules. So that's something to bear in mind. And this will certainly be something that Tierra can send you when you're making the booking for your passengers, or it's something that we can have as well. We don't have the exact timings at the moment, obviously, because the current climate, things that have changed quite suddenly, but also with the schedules of the airlines, these do change depending on what's been going on for that season. Transfers to and from Calafate are included in packages of 4 nights or more. For all-inclusive packages of 3 nights, the transfer carries an extra supplement per person. And then there are also private transfers available for an extra cost per vehicle and carry a maximum of 8 passengers. This map shows us a little bit about the routes in the area and where Tierra Patagonia is located. So the red route going south is going south to Punta Arenas and Puerto Natales, and the green route is going east into Argentina and up to Calafate. So the design of the hotel, Tierra Patagonia itself, as you can see, it has this incredible kind of curving architecture that mirrors the landscape, but also they took particular inspiration from the fossils that are found on the shores of the lakes in this region, and also in the cliffs of the surrounding hills. It has this incredible kind of stunning curved aerodynamic form, and it's almost as if it's been shaped by the wind. And also helps with this very kind of internal cozy atmosphere indoors when the wind is blowing off the lake outside. The wood that it was constructed with is all lenga and has a washed finish and is inspired by the local sheep shearing sheds. And almost every area of the hotel has these magnificent views across the lake to Torres del Paine. Inside, the wood-clad walls emanate warmth and safety and protection, creating a really cozy hideaway after a day spent discovering the amazing Patagonian outdoors. The essence of the interior decoration mirrors the design of Tierra Atacama, and here, as well as there, furnishings and textiles were handmade by Chilean craftspeople. using all natural materials from the region and inspiration from the surrounding estancias, as well as the influence of the native Tawelche people. The hotel's facilities include a really beautiful, large central space with a welcoming open fire, a living room, a bar, a central bar that is always manned, a library, TV room, map area for discovering activities and excursions available, and of course the dining room and an outside dining area as well. There is Wi-Fi in the public areas and iPads are available for guests to use. So the hotel offers all-inclusive packages that include not only the stay, of course, but all the meals or drinks from the bar and wines, although premium wines and premium spirits are extra. Guided excursions, so these are 2 half-day excursions a day plus or 1 full-day excursion, as well as the use of the UMA spa facilities and transfers to and from the local airports. One thing that kind of struck me when I stayed, and also that I think Tierra Patagonia or Tierra in general are very good at, are creating this very convivial, friendly atmosphere. The incredibly friendly staff is primarily hired locally and from within Chile. Their attentive nature and expert knowledge of the area makes every guest feel kind of right at home and helps them prepare for the activities the next day. And they can answer any questions that the guests might have at any point in time. The hotel manager, Nicholas, who's been working there for a number of years now, immediately creates this incredibly warm atmosphere and goes out of his way to remember each guest by name and inquire after their experiences. The ambience of Tierra Patagonia, as I mentioned, is really casual and very friendly. The different spaces created by the designers mean that guests can mingle and get to know one another or find a quiet corner to relax and get away from it all. Here you can see the area of the woven swinging chairs, which is a lovely kind of aspect of Tierra Patagonia. These have full view of the lake, and just behind that is the library with a number of books about regions, history, geology, wildlife, and bird life. The restaurant offers locally sourced ingredients where possible, such as seafood from the Magellan Straits just south of the park, lamb and beef reared at local ranches, and of course, desserts with native berries, such as the calafate berries, which are found all over the park and can be picked on the trails as well. Traditional Patagonian asado and Chilean dishes are obviously on the menu as well, but there are also lots of kind of Mediterranean and Asian influences, with some excellent vegetarian and vegan options too. Dinner times have this wonderful kind of convivial atmosphere, with staff asking guests about their days. And also you quite often find that people who have shared excursions that day tend to then want to share a table and chat about what they've been up to and what they're looking forward to the next day. At the bar, they serve a full range of cocktails, including their own take on the traditional pisco sour and many of the artisan beers from local breweries. This is something that has kind of popped up in the Patagonian region in recent years.
Ja, mach mal.
If we could put everybody on mute, that would be great. Thank you. And I think it's probably because of the amazing clean waters that the Patagonia region has that these incredible kind of microbreweries have been able to spring up all over the place, as well as some of the Northern European heritage you find in some of the regions. So at dinner time and lunchtime, guests are given a choice of 2 starters, 3 mains, and 3 desserts. However, if a guest doesn't want or like what's on the menu, the chef is happy to prepare something else, such as steak and fries, a big salad, soup or pasta, for example. So they're quite flexible about that. As I mentioned, the wine list is quite extensive. And so there's a whole menu of wines plus 7 house wines. But there is something else that the staff will be happy to do, in that they can create a mini tasting at meal times, a mini wine tasting, to make sure that the guest is happy with the wine that goes with their dishes. And one thing to mention is that the food in Patagonia is fairly hearty. And this is probably because of the type of climate, but really kind of also because people will be out doing excursions as well. So the UMA Spa is one of the great things about Tierra Patagonia, which is an award-winning spa, and it's located at the very end of the hotel. And it features an indoor swimming pool with jets, cascades, and the same stunning views of Torres de Paine National Park as the rest of the hotel. The spa professionals can offer any types of massages and facials, and they're particularly focused on using local stones for the hot stone massages, for example, as well as local organic ingredients for oils and amenities. The pool is open early in the morning until late in the evening. This is for guests to be able to find the right time for them to be able to find those quieter times to relax and make use of them. This is the outdoor jacuzzi situated right at the end of the hotel, and as you can see, quite open to the elements with these same very dramatic views. And they also run daily yoga sessions, which can be booked at the hotel and are held in this beautiful, well-lit and ventilated studio, which has these incredible views over the surrounding steppe mountains. I'm very sorry.
Good morning.
That's our fire alarm. The provision of amenities at the hotel were reassessed last year because they wanted to kind of create a more organic and kind of sustainable way of producing the amenities. And they're now provided by a Chilean producer called Austral Organic, with 100% local, natural and organic ingredients, with vegetable plastic containers, which are reusable and recyclable. They will therefore be eliminating the full small plastic bottles that they have in each of the rooms and still have 500 milliliter refillable ones. Austral Organics also produce an amazing sunblock, which is paraben, colorant and paraffin free, and it's made with hazelnut oil. So onto the rooms. Here from the exterior of the hotel, facing the lake, you can see how the rooms at Tierra Patagonia are split between these two levels. They all have the same views out towards the lake and the mountains of Torres de Paine beyond. This image of the interior corridors show the way to the rooms. Bear with me just a moment, I'm just going to check that everybody is actually muted. Thank you. All the rooms are equipped with safes, hairdryers, heating and telephones, and decorated with handcrafted furniture, locally sourced textiles and uniquely Patagonian details. They also have the Austral Organics amenities, potable drinking water bottles, plus some extra touches which enhance the stay, such as information about the region, including local folklores and local delicacies. So there are three different categories of rooms: standard, superior and suites. There are 40 rooms and there are only 3 standard rooms and 3 suites, and then 34 superior rooms. The standard rooms are 32 meters squared and feature the bathtub inside the bedroom themselves. And these rooms can be arranged with a king bed or 2 twin beds. And they're decorated with these amazing kind of uniquely Patagonian details. Here you can see how the view from the room looks straight out to the park. So the superior rooms are slightly larger at 36 meters squared, so with this nice kind of bench that's beside the window, and again can be arranged with either king or 2 twin beds. There are 34 of these, and so these are the ones that you're most likely to be available for your guests if they don't request either a standard or suite. And the bathroom has a separate bathtub, shower, obviously WC and wash basins. Because there are quite a few of these superior rooms, 10 of these rooms can be connected to create 5 family apartments. They have a common entrance door, and then through that they have 2 more doors to the rooms beyond that. And so these bathrooms, as you can see, are really quite spacious. And what I really loved about them is that you can sit in the bath and look out a small space like a window, then look out the window beyond that to the park and the landscape. And then the 3 suites, these are mezzanine rooms really, so they're split over 2 levels and are really generously sized with 51 meters squared. They feature a cozy living room on the top floor and a large double room with ensuite downstairs, and the bathrooms are larger still in these suites. So this is the mezzanine living room space, which can then also accommodate an extra bed if necessary. And what is really spectacular, I think, about these rooms is the view. I think from Any of the rooms is the best because they have these incredible, almost floor to ceiling windows that let in an amazing amount of natural light to the whole room. So on to the excursions. As with all the other Tierra hotels, the head guide will talk to the guests upon their arrival through their options for the duration of their stay, taking into account the guests' interests and abilities and making sure they're maximising their time in the area. The excursions range from full-day treks to nature walks to a day at a local estancia, learning all about the cultural heritage of the region, to biking tours, to birdwatching tours, things like that. So this map here shows you a little bit about where Hotel Tierra Patagonia is in relation to kind of the trails in the park. This larger circle here is where most of the kind of more famous and challenging treks take place, the base of the towers, the French Valley. And so this road here takes you to there and up here as well. And then this whole other area has many different trails that Tierra Patagonia can take guests on as well. So to traverse the park, it does take about an hour getting from Tierra Patagonia all the way across to Lake Grey. So if guests are booking onto the Grey Lake boat trip to see the glacier, this involves a longish transfer, but one which will always incorporate many stops for wildlife and landscape photo opportunities. All excursions are taken in Tierra's own vehicles to get to the starting points of the different hikes with a driver and a guide. The guides lead the guests to the mountains, the pampas, the woods, glaciers, rivers, lakes and waterfalls, as well as the ranches and the wide open plains that surround the hotel. So these vehicles can get to some of the more difficult to reach spots around the area. As mentioned before, the programme is flexible of half-day and full-day treks, rides, bikes and scenic or cultural tours. There are 3 levels of difficulty, as with all the Tierra hotels. So if somebody wants to book onto a particular hike or bike ride, then they will assess their ability and their confidence with that. And the average group size is between 4 and 6 with a maximum of 8 people. There is no minimum as well. So if somebody wants to take an excursion by themselves, then they will be able to find a guide and vehicle available for them to do that. Here we have an image of hikers at the base of the towers. This is the world famous hike that takes you along a path which traverses a canyon above Rio Ascencio, then up through the forest and up some rocky scree to arrive at the small glacial lake at the base of the towers. This hike takes approximately 8 hours and is incredibly rewarding. The guides will take it at the pace of the guests as well, but a good level of fitness is generally required for this. And some of the other famous hikes in the park as well, it's the same kind of thing. There's normally 1 guide for every 6 passengers, and so those who have different paces will still be accompanied. The hotel can provide private services on request for a supplement, and also obtain guides who speak German, French and Italian if needed. These are always best to request at the time of booking, so that the hotel is aware, as they might need to bring in some freelance guides. For private services, the hotel uses jeeps for up to 4 people, plus guide and driver. As I just mentioned, there's no minimum to any excursions, and the guides will generally advise on which days it is best to take which excursions depending on the forecast. It may well be that their itineraries are adjusted accordingly, depending on whether there are particularly high winds or a big kind of rainfall forecast, and so they'll then adjust the schedule of the different excursions. The riding in Patagonia is second to none, with these huge wide open plains, amazing horses, and with gauchos who know the best trails. Tierra Patagonia work with local stables and estancias where they ask for an excellent standard of care of the horses, plus equipment of hard hats and chaps. As with biking and other excursions, there are, as I mentioned, 3 levels of difficulty available, depending on the confidence and ability. This is an image of Lake Grey and the beach at Lake Grey, and this is an example of one of the outsourced excursions. So the navigation on Lake Grey is taken on a scheduled boat trip, which normally departs 2 or 3 times a day, depending on the winds. And you take this to get up close to the face of the impressive Grey Glacier. As mentioned before, this is really worthwhile, as you not only get to see the incredible geographical phenomenon, but also see most of the park and transfer there and back. And there's also a kayaking option on the lake for the more adventurous. The hotel also caters for families with interconnecting rooms, family and children's tables in the restaurant, and also a babysitting service. There are also some special interest tours available, such as bird watching, nature photography, kayaking on Grey Lake, and fishing. The kayaking and fishing do carry extra costs, as well as the biking actually. And there you have to get a permit is required for the fishing excursion, which the hotel can organise for the guests. As most of you will know, the wildlife in Torres is around every corner, with guanacos adorning most of the hillsides and their flocks, and many foxes and hares dotted around, and rios camouflaged in the bushes. Most, if not all, these will be spotted on any of the excursions taken from the hotel, if not around the hotel itself. If guests are particularly lucky, they might even spot a puma, as these have been spotted with incredible regularity season upon season. And then bird life in the park includes many of the larger carrion birds, raptors and eagles, many smaller tree-dwelling birds and owls, as well as the woodpeckers, the Magellan woodpeckers. But the two which people love to see are the soaring condors and the thermals and the flamingos on a few of the lake's shores. The best months to spot all the different species are between December and February. And then the best time to see the wildflowers is from November to February. And as summer goes into autumn, this is a really special time of year when the deciduous beech trees turn gold and orange right across the landscape. And there's also fewer visitors and less fierce winds this time of year. As I mentioned, snacks are served during excursions by all Tierra hotels with organic fruits and nuts, as well as extensive packed lunches with hot soups and teas and massive sandwiches taken on the full-day treks and excursions. All the food is carried in reusable and recyclable packaging. Guests are also supplied with their own water bottle to take on excursions and keep. This can be refilled actually out in the park by the rivers, but also in the hotel, they have an incredible filtration system, which is NASA developed. They're filtering the water from their own sources 3 times, providing really fresh, lovely drinking water, clean drinking water. This is something that each of the Tierra hotels have installed in their lobbies. And so this shows examples of the kind of packages Tierra can offer when combining one or more of their hotels, ranging from 6 nights to 10 nights in total. And this will include either like a 10% or 15% discount, as well as any stays in selected hotels in Santiago. So this is something that you can be aware of when booking an itinerary for your guests, and it will always be available in our resource centre. The current Tierra hotels are currently offering an early bird 25% discount on all bookings made by the end of February, with a deposit of only 10%, which can be paid up to a week after booking. All bookings are now fully refundable up to 30 days before travel, and guests can change their dates and keep the same rate without penalty up to 24 hours before their stay. So Tierra Patagonia has been closed for this season, as you may already know, and is looking to reopen in October. Rates are slightly lower in October and April and May, which they call mid-season. And so from the 1st of November to the 31st of March, there is their high season rate, with exceptions during the Christmas and New Year period. So here's an example of the key selling points, which just outlines really what they have to offer, which you can use for reference, adding to your website or sending on to clients. There's a link included here to the COVID protocol section of their website, which details the different measures the hotel has gone to ensure a safe stay for both the guests and staff. So just as a recap, all-inclusive packages of 3 or more nights with full board and excursions included. Amazing selection of Chilean wines. It's only got 40 rooms, which may sound like quite a lot, but actually has this nice boutique feel to it still. It's family friendly, it's got an award-winning spa, discounts and specials, as I just mentioned, and these incredible sustainability achievements. Here is a list of some of the sustainability efforts Tierra Patagonia has gone to. Again, as I mentioned in the Tierra Atacama presentation, they've just released a sustainability report. And some of these include how to maximize the use of energy through the design of installation of solar panels, where they source their water, getting rid of plastics, but also their collaboration with Reforestemos Patagonia in planting new trees in the region where there have been devastating forest fires. So the link in this slide will take you to the full report on all their hotels. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for listening. As I mentioned, I will be following up with an email and a link to this presentation from where you can access these links here. We have photos and documentation on our Squirrelfish site, where you can find the best high-res images, fact sheets, rate sheets, excursion details. But if there is anything else you need, please don't hesitate to contact me. And then finally, here is a list of the partners we're currently working with across South America and Costa Rica, including the Wilderness Lodges, Adventure Spas, Private Villa in Paraty, Brazil, Haciendas, and the expedition cruise run by Polar Latitude to Antarctica. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I'll be conducting webinars on each of these over the coming weeks, but what I'll do is send out a whole schedule for the first few to begin with, so you can register for each of them and then add them to your calendars, so I'm not sending out too many emails and bombarding your inboxes. And just remember to follow us on socials. We have a newish account on Instagram called Senderos Partners, which is like an online brochure for all our partners. And our Facebook page is constantly updated by Naomi with good pieces of news from across the pond. So thanks again, and if you have any questions, pop them into the chat box.